So we only had 5 matches because again, it's episode of Collision. No dark matches that we know of. They don't do AEW dark animation anymore.
They just filmed a Collision and Ring of Honor together. And like I said, I will say this. This isn't my saying, but a certain someone was saying, let me get this straight. They could not bring over the correct size ring and all that other stuff, but they could bring the Ring of Honor on roster with them.
Yeah, we missed that. It was actually on Monday, but I didn't see the matches there. But I mean, I've been out of touch with Ring of Honor. I don't know if Johnny's been catching up or not. But anyway, so the first match you had big tag team match. Here's a storyline between Will Ospreay working alongside Kenny Omega, going up against the Don Callis family. So in this case, it's Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita with Mark Davis there. And yeah, so it's a big tag team match right off the bat. And I gotta say, I don't remember too many of the details, but I do remember that it was pretty intense. It was I mean, they gave it their all. And it was cool to see Kenny Omega back in the ring. Of course, now with the stuff, his stomach is always like now it's a new target that the bad guys always go to and stuff like that. And Mr. Fallis is trying to get the screwdriver whenever he can. Whenever his people are losing, he tries to cheat and all that kind of shit. But yeah, that was a pretty intense match. It was fast paced. It was pretty action packed. They gave it their all. It felt like pay-per-view quality match, I would say.
The little bit that I did see, I get kind of annoyed at showboating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't mind a little showboating, but not showboating to the point where where your opponents are just sitting there watching you showboat as opposed to doing something.
Yeah, I also like to do that thing where he flips and does like the superhero landing a lot to show off. One thing I do miss is he does the flash kicks. He legit does the guy flash kick sometimes. I wish he would just have a flash kick as he does it or something. You know what I mean?
But like I have no
flash kick, bro.
But I mean, have no opinion because I slept through most of the match. Sorry.
Well, what's funny is I'm surprised that Kenny has not brought back the Hadouken, because he used to do that all the time back in the day. I'm surprised he didn't bring it back. Especially when he dressed up like Akuma when he did it. But anyway, I just felt like the match dragged a lot for me. Obviously, you could tell Ospreay was carrying the majority of the team. I'm at the point where I'm like, if Kenny is that badly damaged in his stomach or whatever, why don't you just have him wear one of those battle vests like Roman Reigns used to wear? Just have him wear one of those and have his stupid logo on it.
Yeah.
Or have him have whatever Capcom character he happens to like that week. I don't give a shit. Like have him come out with Lamy Dimitrescu from Resident Evil 8. I don't fucking care anymore at this point. Anyway, but no, honestly though, I was like, it was all right. I mean, Takeshita, he's been really, holding his own in Japan, and the problem is I feel like he's worn way too thin, and I'm starting to see the cracks in the armor as far as it's like getting me deja vu of how when they put all those belts on Kenny, it started taking a toll on him, because he's the never open weight, the AEW International. He's wrestling in Japan. He's wrestling in the States. He's wrestling in Japan. He's wrestling. I'm like, come on, guys. Got to give him a break sometime, and I'm just like, I'm starting to see the cracks. Fletcher's gotten a lot better. Ospreay's gotten a lot worse. He's gotten a lot worse, in my opinion.
Ospreay, bro.
What I was going to say, Jack, it reminds me of the Tom and Jerry movie, the from the 90s. It's like you're saying that they're wearing Takeshita too thin, but it's like, but we need money.
Money. Yeah, that's what I think of it too. I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about the match. What do you think, Johnny?
I thought that the match was pretty entertaining, but I felt like there was just like too much going on all at the same time. And Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they always look kind of sort of similar. Like sometimes I kind of get confused who's who. during the match. But other than that, I mean, it was still a good, entertaining match. I mean, obviously, if it weren't for the behind the scenes of how bad this whole quote unquote pay per view was panned out, I would have not have noticed how bad it was. Like, because to me, I was like very entertained with the match.
I do have to say though, one of the advantages of the smaller arena is the arena looked packed. So that made it gave a good visual that was fucking packed. Which of course if it was the other arena, well yeah, you know, it'd be like 1/3 empty or whatever. Yeah, yeah. So at least it worked in their favor. It's just that it would have been so much better if that was the arena right off the bat, so we wouldn't have known. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and
The AEW should literally take the playbook from TNA, which is that if you can't sell out an entire giant arena, don't book a giant arena. That's it. Just book a somewhat smaller arena. It doesn't have to be tiny, but a somewhat smaller arena, and you could fill more seats. Besides, they'd also be cheaper than getting a big ass stadium full of empty seats.
yeah.
So it's just like, just do that, man. Like TNA will have arenas. In fact, I'm going to be going to a TNA pay-per-view in April. So I'm like, and the tickets weren't that bad. I got pretty good seats. And like I said, it's like cool, but I'm like, just follow in that footsteps, guys. It's not that hard. Just like, we wouldn't be giving you so much flack about not being able to sell out arenas if you literally stop booking arenas that you can't sell out.
I think Tony Khan needs to be humble and realize that, okay, why don't we just do smarter arenas for now, you know? Because the thing is that they always want to compare themselves with WWE, but it's like they're like nowhere near WWE level.
Not even close. And yet they still that's the other thing. It's not just them, it's their fan. It's the AEW marks keep comparing it to WWE. Whereas they WWE fans, I've noticed more WWE fans kind of just been like, like that's about it. They're like, oh, that's cool. Cool. But then the AEW fans, they're copying. Like it's so funny, like the going a little bit off a tangent. The way the reactions from the AEW supermarks about Ricky Starks debuting. And they go, I thought there was no pop, no real stars in AEW. And I go, and I love one of my favorite responses. It's like, when half of your roster is banking from the success of WWE, you should shut the hell up. Because I guarantee you, no one would know who the hell Cope was, because Cope's not in the Hall of Fame.
Oh god. So anyways, the next match is out here.
The Mercedes versus Mercedes Moné versus Harley Cameron.
Yeah.
And
the TPS title.
Yeah, and of course she lost, but we kind of figured that.
Yeah, but let's go to the
well, here's let
me go to the backstory a bit. So basically, with Grand Slam coming up, and Harley being like Australian born, she didn't have a match or anything. So she kept like hounding Mercedes trying to get a match. And after her being ignored, she now came up with the Mercedes puppet, like little Muppet thing. And she keep making it like if it was her, you know, like can I have a match? Oh, sure you can. Oh, wow, really? Yeah. And all that kind of junk, which would annoy Mercedes and make Renee laugh and smile about it. She enjoyed those parts.
Mm-hmm.
So during the match, yeah, it was a pretty good match. I do have to say that Hardy, of course, put Mercedes through her paces. They kind of got the thing because Mercedes was, of course, acting all like, oh, you know, I can't be bothered and you'll barely be a challenge. So, of course, she gave her a challenge. The part I remember the most was that Mercedes grabbed a little puppet and threw it and started like stomping on it and whatever the hell.
I think that's when I woke up and then I fell back to sleep.
And then did the thing where like Hardy was out of the ring and, you know, from the camera perspective, the puppet is rising from the ring. And so was she and stuff. They really had a lot of fun with that and everything. And the crowd was eating it up though. This is one of those things where there were a lot of like real close calls and the crowd was really cheering. You could tell they wanted Hardy to win because everyone hates Mercedes. They always boo. Like whenever she comes in, they crank up the CEO thing so you don't hear the boos and all that.
I bet you was right.
It's also really funny as hell to me that the puppet version is more over than her.
I'm saying the puppet gives better promos.
Yep.
And it gives better promos, it gets more pop. And here's the thing, I will give credit where credit is due. Harley has really stepped it up in the ring. I will give her 100% kudos. She's clearly gotten better in the ring. She's not she I know this is a weird comparison. Because it's not just that she has a puppet, she's actually a ventriloquist. She actually can which is like, that's not easy to do. It's very difficult to pull off. And the fact that she does apparently she does like singing and perform. So I know this is a weird comparison, but she almost feels like a female Joe Hendry in that way. Not quite to that level, but I see the little sprinkling, like how Joe Hendry was back in the European circuit. And I think if they crafted it right, what I would have done for this match, good example. For this match, what I would have done is I would have had Mercedes win via disqualification, not via definitive win. Because then the fans would be like, boo, and da-da-da. She'd become more endearing. And then she would like work her way back to getting another title shot. Obviously not win the belt, but it would get the fans more on her side. That's what I would do as far as booking. Because obviously the crowds react well to her. She's got personality. She's got good mic skills. She's got good entertainment value. So there's something there. And it comes off organically, not like Jericho every time he speaks, but it's actually, no, it's not just that. It's also when I first saw.
You better fuck this Jericho.
It's not just that. It's also, there was a thing I saw. Full transparency, folks. I don't watch AEW regularly, but there was a clip someone sent me, and it was a clip of Ishii following Jericho and him running, and he pushed a trash can in front of him and he still kept running. And I kept thinking, you were one of the most dominant people in New Japan. You were one of the most respected people, and you're this because of this fool. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, that's what you guys have done. And I'm like, it's a perfect example. But with her, I'm like,
Jericho, they were going to do like a contract signing, and Jericho just fucking walked off, and Ishii just followed him all around the fucking.
It was so ridiculous. But I was laughing the whole time over the absurdity of it.
But my thing of it is there is a fine line. I'm not one of those purists who go, no comedy in wrestling. I'm one of the people who believe there can be comedy within wrestling, but there's a way to do it that feels organic, and you have to be able to pull it off. The reason I hate a guy like Orange Cassidy is because they have a character who's clearly comedic, but they also want him to be legitimate at the same time. You can't have both. You can't have Boppo the clown who every time you punch him he bounces back, and then give him a Tommy gun and have him star in an action movie. You can't have both. It's one or the other. And that's the thing. Like you have a way of doing it. R-Truth is a perfect example of doing a comedic wrestler right. He's comedic, but he can actually wrestle really well. But he's mostly comedic. Harley Cameron feels like she could be that kind of character, but I don't see her as a champion caliber yet. Maybe in the future, but especially not yet. But she did impress me a lot. She has a lot of, obviously, ability and capability in the future. Mercedes is just, she's already said, I got creative control. So I'm like, every time she wrestles now, I'm like, okay. So I don't have to worry about you winning, because I know you're going to win, because you're going to pull your Mercedes Hogan is going to do whatever she wants. So,
jeez, those were for me, brother.
I thought the match was still pretty entertaining, just because it's the first time I've seen Harley Cameron, and she looks very charismatic. She has a lot of stage presence. I think she does have a lot of potential. The crowd was cheering her up because Mercedes Monet, like everybody's tired of her by now. It's so like rigged. Like she's always winning every single match. Like it's not even believable. It never. A lot of times it doesn't even look like she's trying at all. Like it's just like, okay, I'm gonna win the match. Just like whatever, I'm gonna win. Like it's just boring after a while. So yeah, for this match, it was so good, but kind of disappointed that Mercedes Monet won this match because I actually wanted Hardy Cameron to win this one.
Especially the crowd was really responding. Like Jack says, it's too soon, but the crowd was really popping every time it looked like she was going to win.
No, but everything's because she's a local, over there in Australia, so it would be good for her to win the match in her hometown.
Yeah. Also,
I don't know
kind of slept through the rest of the show, so she won't be here for the rest of. She won't really have much to comment because she was sleeping and she was watching her eyelids during those times. Because it was late. The show started at like 10:30 or something, I think, Eastern time. Was it like 10:30 or so, Wendy?
I think so.
Yeah, it was late.
Yeah, because it's Australia time. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. So, any final comments, Johnny, before we move on to the next one? I'm sorry that I was interrupting there.
No, that's it. I still like the match, but I just felt like it fell a little short just because Mercedes Monet won this match. Like it's so predictable.
Yeah. So the next match we got here is the ongoing saga with the Death Riders, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli with Marina Shafir, going up against a team of Cope, which is Adam Copeland, now they call him Cope for whatever dumbass reason, and Jay White, the Switchblade. Now I gotta say one thing though, I do feel that Jay White, at least he's getting more airtime and he has been winning some matches here and there. I mean, I think it's been helping him a little bit as opposed to before when he was just like, what was he doing? He was with a bunch of other guys just randomly there or whatever. So at least he's being used more, right? Like,
yeah, I guess it's just it feels like they're trying to. They're basically. It feels like they're just trying to give him crumbs to keep him from going away.
but does he still have like you were saying, like that kind of I'm just here for a paycheck mentality, or do you think he's a bit more invested now because he is getting more action? And so I like the fact that he's not afraid to like grab Shafir and slammer and stuff.
Here's the thing. Jay has always been a team player, so even if he's given a stupid gimmick or whatever, he's gonna give it his all. But it's clear to me that he's kind of just like
checked
for
out.
me. He's like, I'm not gonna. He goes at like 70%, like 70% of what he's actually capable of, and the reason why is because he's like, what does he get out of doing 100% kind of thing? Like, whereas like if he were in Japan or if he were anywhere else, I think he would have, like hell, even when he was wrestling in TNA, he really pushed himself, and I'm like, okay, cool. But here, I mean, like, I think a lot of it came from the weapon spots, but here he did push himself a little, but it was like.
So this was a Brisbane brawl. So it was one of those Moxley type matches with weapons and whatever, and you could fight all over the thing is, I don't remember too many weapons and things, or I don't remember the typical thumbtacks or whatever. But weren't there tables covered in barbed wire though? I think I remember that.
I think they pulled out the tables in barbed wire, but I don't think they ever used them. Like I know there was because there was a table leaned up into the corner near the end of the match, which was used. But I don't think there was any other table spots, if I'm not mistaken. I know there was a couple chair spots. I don't remember any I don't really remember any that much weapons either. Yeah, I agree. I'm like,
oh, you know what? I'm kind of confusing it because it's starting to blur together. There was a match this past Wednesday that was Powerhouse Hobbs versus Big Cass, and that one had like barbed wire. They were trying to hit each other with fucking wrenches and stuff and everything. So I got confused. But with this Brisbane brawl, I don't remember too many things. And Moxley, he loves the blood. I don't remember. I mean, he might have been busted open because he gets busted open just taking 2 steps. But I don't remember much details.
No, there wasn't really much. No, there really wasn't much. Like as far as like for a street fight, it was pretty bland. and like there wasn't really many. It didn't need to be a street fight, realistically, because there wasn't really much spots in it. It was mostly just, I mean, it was typical bullshit with this stupid group tag teaming and sneak attacking and all this shit. And I'm just
Yuta
like,
and Pac still show up.
huh?
Didn't Yuta and Pac still show up?
Yeah, we Yuta, because remember there was a spot where what's her name? There was a spot where someone was on the top rope. I think it was Cope, and then Shafir hit him with something and knocked him off, and then Jay pulled her in and was setting her up for a Blade Runner, and then Wheeler hit him with the back of the head with something. Yeah, there was a couple of spots like that where it's just like you're at the point where you're like, why do I even care? Like, you can't really get invested when it's so repetitive. It's kind of like how Johnny felt about how Johnny and I feel about like Mercedes Monet. At this point, it's just like, why do I even watch you? Like, what do I get out of it anymore?
It's just the numbers, man. It's the numbers. It doesn't matter if it's a one-on-one match or a tag team, because the other guys are going to come in too and everything, and it gets old fast. And then you got like, okay, so Copeland is now teaming up with Jay White, but then like, okay, but you need some other guys too, because it's still 2 against like fucking 5 and all that.
Yeah,
and then
it's stupid.
Shafir's being wasted because, I mean, I like her in the role and everything, but they really should set her up with Willow. And these last couple of weeks, they've been doing something that every time they try to interview Willow for something, Marina just fucking jumps her, and then Moxie comes in with more of his cryptic crap or whatever. But the thing is, like, just book it. Just book a match. Willow versus Shafir, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I'm just like I said,
I think maybe the only reason that they don't want to book Willow versus Shafir is because in that kind of match, you can't have the other guys come in and cheat, because that would, you know, obviously, I mean, that looked terrible. You know, 5 guys beating up on a woman. No, even if Willow is a big, larger woman, still, it wouldn't look good. You know, that'd be real heat right there.
Yeah, it would be. It would also be just boring, honestly. And then like it, yeah, and it'd just be. There's, okay, this kind of a. Okay. Ironically, it's ironic that Jay is involved in this whole thing, because this sort of stuff with a evil faction taking over, it only works if you do it right, in the sense of like their end goal needs to be established, and it's generally, when it's a villain faction, their end goal is to dominate / own all the titles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when the group started, Moxley was already the champion. He's still the champion, and he's yet to be drop the belt. So you can't have a set goal of, I'm going to take over the world, when you are already in charge of it. You can't
trios champs or something, or
no one else is a champion in that stupid group. But I'm saying, it's like, you're the top prize. It should have been, this group should have worked, because like the reason I'm pointing out my shirt is because Bullet Club, this is their shtick. Their shit is, we are going to dominate by taking each and every factions, or every title, every this, every that. We got some guys from the junior division to go after the junior tags, or the main titles. We got guys in the heavyweight division. We got this, we've got this, we've got this, and the leader goes after the top belt. That is how you divide a villain faction. That's how they work it. And they have the stepping stone. So if you had, like, say, Yuta going after, I don't know, the TNT belt, and then have Claudio going after the international belt, and then have Marina going after the TBS or women's title, and then like Pac could team with one of them and go after the tag belts. Like, I'm saying, do that, and then finally Moxley will go after the title, but it will be a kind of, he wouldn't get it right away. He'd have to build to it, and that's the only way that kind of group can work. But you're doing it backwards. You can't have the big bad already won. Like, as an analogy, you can't have the main villain of you can't have M. Bison already beaten everybody before the tournament started in Street Fighter. Like the whole point of it is that you're getting ready to fight him. Not, I've already beaten everybody. It's like, okay, tournament's on now. No, dumbass, like you did it backwards. But that's what you have to do. You have to build it, then the payoff, not payoff, then build up. Anyway, that's it. The match itself was bland. It was paint by numbers. I keep getting upset every time I see Jay because it's clear he just, like I said, he's just coasting. And I agree. And I don't blame him for it. I would too.
So for this match, I don't really care much about it just because Jon Moxley's in it. He's in the match. I don't care. I will say that Claudio Castagnoli, I mean, he seems to have done good in the match, but I was just not really invested in the match. And one thing I do find it very annoying, though, is that I find it very annoying how Marina Shafir is always able to get away with cheating like all the time in these matches. Like she's always doing something. She always I don't know, like she grabs the stick and she hits the I forgot who she hit. I don't know if it was Jay White or Cope, one of the guys, but she was still doing the whole like while the people are in the ring, she grabs a stick and she hits them with it, and it's just she just gets really annoying after a while. It's like she's not like you have other matches where when other interference happen, the referee they're still able to kick them out of the ring. But for some reason, Marina Shafir is so able to get away with doing her shit and not be kicked out of the ring at all. That's the thing that I find it kind of annoying. But yeah, I really don't care about the match, and it's like whatever. Jon Moxley won, whatever.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Death Riders won like they always do, because again, it's always a numbers game, and especially in a match like this that they can cheat without being disqualified. It's just like a brawl. I mean, well, whatever. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how long this lasts before finally Moxley and them gets defeated. The one that pisses me off too was that in the last couple of episodes there was the time where Copeland actually stole the briefcase and everything and wanted to show it off, and he had this big bat with nails. He was trying to bash it open to finally show the belt because Moxley, for whatever reason, is hiding the belt. Maybe he lost it to fucking Steakhouse like Jericho did. I don't know. But he's all you don't need to see the belt. The belt's in here and all that kind of bullshit. So I thought that was kind of cool that finally Copeland had a leg up on him. But then he started at the end of the match, if you want this back, come see me. And then the fuckers got the belt back. They should have kept it, and maybe in going into what's it called? Into I can't even think Grand Slam. Thank you. Coming into Grand Slam, to have them go, to try to get the belt back because Copeland stole it. You know what I mean? Kind of like Nyla Rose stole the belt. She had it for a good couple of weeks. You would have missed out on the fun if they gave it back the same day. You know what I mean? Drag it out. And then now that Moxley finally gave, that's the thing. Copeland's been poking at him to get a match out of him. Finally, Moxley got pissed enough that, you're getting a match, blah, blah, blah. They should have did the thing where he's getting the match because he wants to get his belt back. His belt's still stolen. The briefcase is still whatever. And you'll get it at Revolution or whatever. You know what I mean? But, I don't know. I'm just kind of, it's been too dragged out. And, So, anyways, next match we got here is Buddy Matthews versus Okada for the title for the let me see here, I forgot so many titles.
International title.
Continental. Yeah, AEW the Continental title. And the storyline behind that storyline is that Buddy Matthews kept getting in his face asking for a challenge. And Okada kept saying, nah, you ain't worth it and whatever. Oh, I see. Because you're a bitch. And then Okada would get pissed off, bitch, and all that. And the other week was blah, 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 blah. Hey, how about that title? And it's, you're not worth it, man. Oh, I see. You're still a bitch. I'm no bitch, So I guess finally they got the match, and he went for it. And yeah, it's a pretty good match. I mean, for matches with Okada, at least in AEW, Buddy put him through his paces. I like seeing the look of frustration that Okada was getting because, the having to actually work. And, oh fuck, I have to actually earn a paycheck this time. You know what I mean, and everything. But that was a pretty good match. Okada still won in the end, but I forget more of the details. But I think Jack can go over some of the details, maybe.
No, it was a solid match, and no, it was just kind of hard hitting. I mean, Buddy is one of the most underrated wrestlers, in my opinion. And it's even more impressive looking back, considering he busted his ankle at the very beginning of the match.
Yeah.
Because
he
at the very beginning of the match, before the match started, and you could find the clip online. He jumped into the ring and his ankle went. So he was wrestling that whole match with a busted ankle, which also, little fun thing on the side, was also apparently Rhea Ripley was front row in that. She was actually at the arena. She was she was carrying the belt and she was at the arena watching the show. So this whole idiot IWC Mark shit of, oh, this AEW wrestler watched a WWE show, so they're gonna get fired or whatever. That's bullshit. Because why would they let Rhea Ripley in the ring front row if that was the case? Like, think about it. Anyway,
I don't remember her like to be Rhea Ripley. I don't remember seeing her on TV. Did they show her?
Yeah, there was a photo posted on Instagram of it.
Yeah, send me that photo. Like, post it up while we're discussing it, if you can.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, it was just really funny because it's like all these people are. Anyway, but the match itself was, it was a solid match. It was a good match. Not really much to say. I mean, just two good wrestlers putting on a decent match. You could tell they were really constrained by time / Buddy's injury, but I think if they had trimmed the fat of the first match, it probably would have had a better match. But all things considered, it was a good match. Not really much I can add to it.
Yeah, about this match, I really don't remember too much of it, but I just know that, Okada did pretty stand out. Like, he did a pretty good job. And, he's a very talented wrestler despite his AEW gimmick. But yeah, other than that, it was still a good match. It's just that by then I was just kind of like not too invested in it. I guess the Jon Moxley kind of ruined it for me. Kind of ruined my mood.
Yeah. And that was one thing I also heard. People were also saying that there was no real reason, because there was no title on the line. It was a tag team match, like there was no reason that the Death Riders just had to win. They could have just had, Jay and Cole win that match, have a victory or something.
Yeah. There was no belt on the line. It was like there was no reason for them to win. There was no reason, but yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. So for the main event, we've got Timeless Toni Storm, the return of Timeless Toni Storm with Luther. He's got a job again, going up against Mariah May for the AEW Women's title. Let me just kind of go real quick with the backstory because it's a lot of fun. So sometime after Toni dropped the title, she's been gone for a while. She later came back, but in her original Toni Storm, I guess her rocker gimmick that she had before, whatever you want to call it, the biker gimmick, I don't know. And the thing is, she was acting like she just got there in AEW. And I love how you play out the whole gimmick. She was acting like she just signed up. She's excited. Renee and them are kind of like, kind of confused. The commentary, we're calling her a rookie now and all that. And every time she fought against people that she's already fought with before, she's acting all like, oh, I'm so excited to get to fight these people. Like the whole bright-eyed and bushy-tail kind of thing, you're going to call it. And it was funny because even the website would announce the Toni Storm as All Elite, like if she just got hired. And they were advertising her first couple of shirts, like when she first got hired. They just went the whole 9 yards with that shit, So anyways, they finally had a confrontation, Mariah May with Toni Storm. They're talking and stuff. Mariah May starts going into her, calling her, worthless, insignificant piece of crap, and all the stuff like that. And Toni Storm was still like, "Oh, but I'm still your biggest fan. I love you," and hugs her and crap. And Mariah May starts beating the crap out of her and beats her up. Even what's her name? Audrey tried to stop it, and she got shoved back and everything. And they just beat the crap out of Toni. So Mariah May's about to leave when Toni suddenly says, like you think I don't remember, talking in that accent again, the timeless accent, and she starts taking off her clothes. I'm sure the fans love that, wearing her timeless outfit underneath, and she reveals that she was pretending the whole time that the greatest role the most difficult role one has to play is playing as themselves, and she was playing, as the rookie version of herself and everything. And of course, what made everyone lose their shit because it was epic was like, a Grand Slam, I'm going to shove you up my womb, spit you back out, and rip your fucking tits off. And everyone was like, that the only downside to that is that they did that on Collision instead of Dynamite, where you would have had more eyes on it and more ratings, because not many people watch Collision as much as you watch Dynamite. So that was a big missed opportunity. I understand that. I'm sure Tony Khan does these kind of things because that way you can tune into Collision, because you never know if you might miss something important, but people just don't watch it that much still. You know what I mean? So anyways, now we go into this. It's a big match, and unfortunately, I remember more than backstory in the actual match, but I do know it was pretty, good back and forth here and there. Lots of finishers and stuff. They were doing stuff where they were doing each other's finishers on each other and everything. So Toni Storm finally got the win, and that's the thing, because I was like bracing myself because I was just waiting for Mariah to do a cheap shot and still win or something. But no, Toni actually won. She rolled her in the small package pin and won the match. And she's now the first AEW 4-time women's champion, and it's fucking awesome. And the thing I like is the thing about because she got her in the small package pin. So when she came out on this episode of Dynamite to kind of talk about her victory and stuff, she was saying something about that. Oh yes, I beat you with the small package, but you were unprepared as I bent you over and gave you the pounding with the biggest package you've ever seen, and all that. They really let her get away with so much shit, man. It's funny. It is funny though, and the gimmick and the accent and the actress thing. It's just, I love the whole gimmick and everything. But yeah, you guys can give your thoughts on that.
So, the match itself, I didn't have a problem with. I thought the match was good. Probably the match of the night, personally. But
it was a good way to end the show.
It was. There's two issues I do have with it. First off, with the whole build-up storyline. It makes no sense for Toni to have revealed that she was timeless after she got her ass kicked. It would have made more sense for her to have lulled Mariah May, like say, okay, Mariah should have attacked her. Obviously, beating the crap out of her. Toni could have been like, I don't know why she did that. Then build it up of like, I don't know what I did. And then like her trying to apologize and Mariah not believing her. And then slowly Mariah does believe that Toni's changed. Then Toni turns on her and reveals she's timeless. That's what I would have done. Second, the bigger issue I have is it really got to me that it felt like they never pulled the trigger on Mariah May as champion. What I mean by that is while she was champion, they made her an afterthought. And it really pissed me off because I'm like, she's so talented. She's got the ring presence. Obviously, she's attractive as shit. And yet it felt like she was second fiddle, third fiddle to everyone else. And I'm like, she's your top champion in the women's division. You need to be more prestigious with her. You need to give her more high profile matches, airtime, all that stuff. Like I saw her presented better on wrestling interview podcasts than she was on the actual show. And that really irked me because I'm like, come on, guys. Like I shouldn't have to tell you how to present someone. Like I felt the same way about Mariah May as champion as the way I felt when Thunder Rosa was champion, because when she was champion, she was like an afterthought to Britt Baker, and it feels like she's an afterthought to half of the women's roster. It's not even just like Toni Storm. If it's just Toni Storm, I wouldn't care. But she's like an afterthought to Toni Storm. She's an afterthought to Mercedes Moné, to Harley Cameron, to this, to that. I'm like, dude, she's your top champion. Treat her like a top champion. You know, it's like, it just gets to me because I'm like, come on, man. Like, just, she's obviously got the goods, but you don't know what to do with the goods. And then then you're gonna give the belt to Timeless Toni Storm again, which I'm not against her being champion. I'm just against. I just wish it would have been under better circumstances that she became the champion. Hell, I would have rather her go after Mercedes. That would have been better.
Yeah.
I think if she came back as Timeless and went after Mercedes and got the belt off of her, dude, could you imagine the pop of Timeless Toni Storm beating Mercedes in Australia? Dude, that place would have erupted.
And then Mercedes would have quit or something, like she did with WWE. She would have quit because she felt like undervalued or some shit, you know.
She could have used the whole I have multiple champions, I don't need to be here, and then done a couple stints on the indies defending those belts.
Mm-hmm.
And then come back and then fight her again. Like, that's what I would have done. That's what would have made more sense. And then have Harley Cameron do her thing that she's doing, but have her go against Mariah May. And like have jokes about how like, oh, it's like, oh, I see that you're copying me because you're blonde and have big boobs. I was the first blonde, big boobed Australian, and you weren't. And like something stupid like that. I don't know. Just go goofy. But I'm saying like that's what I would have done. Like it felt like the pieces were there, but they made the wrong order of them. That's how I feel. But what did you guys think?
I thought that the match was still pretty entertaining just because, Toni Storm. I don't remember too much of it because, again, I think the whole Moxley match just kind of got me in a mood after that match. But it was still entertaining for what it's worth. But personally, this is just not just this match, but it's just like the whole pay-per-view. I don't even think that a part of me feels a little conflicted. But you know what? I'll tell my thoughts about the whole thing, about the whole quote-unquote pay-per-view in a bit. But yeah, this match was so entertaining. It was so good, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it was anything extraordinary or anything that special.
Yeah, one thing I did want to say that Wendy did suggest that she felt that Tony should have did the reveal at Grand Slam instead. But in my opinion, I think it did on purpose because, AEW, whatever. I think it did to sell more tickets because if it was like, regular Toni Storm and maybe there's a possibility that she might be Timeless at the show. But no, let's not chance it. Make her Timeless now. Put her on the posters. We got to sell tickets, man. We already downsized. We need tickets, Because I don't know. I'm sure it would have sold more than if it was just the rocker Tony.
Well, yeah, probably.